When I'm working on a musical, I love working with an artist, a graphic artist, someone who draws pictures, and I love to have them draw my conception or a version of my conception. So the first thing because that helps my imagination, and one of the first things that I do is I'll draw it myself. So this was my conception of the of Boris the Birdman and Althea, the woman in the cage, in the golden cage. And he's been searching his whole life for this golden cage. And then the artist, Ellen Lebow in this case, took it and made it like this, which is really lovely. And then she started drawing some of the scenes. So this is the morning when Boris wakes up. He's landed accidentally on top of this cage, and he wakes up and she hears him for the first time. And here's one where he's looking in at her. You can see Boris up here. You can see her down here with like all this stuff. And I just love how Ellen came up with these things, and a lot of these things are relevant in the story, where she has to do. There's an incantation where she actually has to use some of these things, so those are really great. And then you can see her having drawn, and I'll show you this again in a minute, when the first two characters meet. So I also draw the characters, and this was my version of what Althea should look like. And you can see that she's got a Valkyrie helmet on and a breastplate because she's overly dramatic. And you can see that I was drawing my ideas of the cage, and also the fact that I imagined that the cage was somehow connected to a cave, but I wasn't really sure how. And now you can see how Ellen then took that same character and drew her into Althea. And I also drew Boris. So this is how I imagined, but this was really sort of a costume sketch, how I imagined not the imaginary character, but the person who would play Boris, what he would look like. And this little thing, I actually had this thing. It was made with a spoon and feathers, and it was a pair of glasses. And then Ellen took that and built Boris like this. And then again, it took that character and, gave him doing something. So there's action there, and you can see the two characters together now. Oh yeah, okay, great. So you can actually see them looking at each other. And now here's the characters, and then she put them in the environment. And so now I have that, I can see that scene, and I can look at that, and it comes alive for me and for people who I'm telling about the show. And then she also made, I don't know if you'll be able to see this as well. This is a poster, and then I colorized it so that I could see those two characters, and I could have it on my wall, and I could experience it being alive for me as I'm bringing it alive in terms of composing it and creating it. And that's just one of those things, one of those parts where, because I'm not collaborating in terms of like words and music with other people, because I'm writing the story and the words and the music, but collaboration is really important to me, and having the input of other artists is really important to me. And this is one of the ways that I get that input, even though I'm coming up with so much of it myself, but I'm still getting that, that energy from other people.